Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz August 8, 2015, 2:34 a.m. in Birmingham. Topic in reference to what's going to happen in September 2015. I just spent hours listening to one man, multiple blogs from Glenn Beck onto private places that they paid him to come. And you probably know him, James Rickards. Rickards. He's the go-to guy for the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. This is the World Bank. He handles most of all the transitions that the IMF makes through the United States. And he's also the speaker that goes from country to country and gives them advice on what to do and what not to do. So I want to tell you what I got out of this. And I've had it in blogs prior, and I've always said the same thing, but there's some added to this. It's kind of shocking of what's about to happen. But Jim Rickards, this is page 1, again, the Central Bank of the World, the IMF, he's the go-to guy. China wants to be in the IMF club. They're not in it. And they're doing all they can do to get in it. They're in another club that they created themselves with the money that they have, that we have paid them. And we still owe them $4 to $6 trillion. Trillion. Keep one thing in mind. If we told China we were not going to pay, there's nothing they could do. We have had that happen to America more times than any country on earth that owes us lots of money. And either we forgave their debt or they just wrote it off and didn't pay. So it could work the same way between us and China. But October this year, they're going to go and James Rickards, to vote China in to the IMF and a currency reset. He did not tell what all countries would be in it, but bets are Iraq will be one of those countries that gets a currency reset. And at that time, we'll be able to use from the IMF. So he said that'll happen in October 2015. It'll take place January 1, 2016. But he said, now on the downside of America and the world, he said we may not even get to October 2015. He said, number one, he said China sees something going here and it scares them. They're secretly buying gold as much as they can. They have as much as 10,000 tons, but the IMF knows they have at least 6,000 tons. I have heard one other time that they do have excess of 10,000 tons. So I believe that is the amount. And if the world knew that, then there is a crash of the dollar. Gold will go to $10,000 an ounce immediately. And you can imagine what that would do with silver. Silver would go through the roof. It would probably hit $800, maybe $1,000 an ounce. Anyway, The vote to reset October 2015 and January 16, the reset will take effect. And Iraq should RV at the same time of this vote. Now, Jim says we're sitting on a knife's edge, the world, mainly America. We don't know which way it's going to fall. So have a portfolio in two different ways. If there's a monetary crash, then you need to have hard assets, land, gold, silver, even expensive paintings. He said Warren Buffett bought a railroad. And he's got his own cars that can move all this oil from Canada. He doesn't need a pipeline. He's got a rolling pipeline. He said besides that, he's got $55 billion in cash. Wow. He said he's got more cash than any man on earth. And so moving on. This is not, there's not enough growth in the world today to cover the debt of the world today. There's not enough growth combined to cover what is owed combined. So America owes China $4 trillion. We could walk away if needed, the same as other countries. If they did pay America, they would pay us about $4 trillion. So we've lost that amount ourselves over the since World War I. And Greenspan, by the way, Alan Greenspan, everything he said, the world hinged on what he said. Well, guess what? Greenspan went to James Rickards to get his information. James was the absolute go-to man. He said in 2008, the federal government was too big to fail. He said in 2008, they said they were too big to fail. He said 2016, he said they're too big not to fail. He said it will crash, and it will crash before 2016. He said it is on that knife edge. He said, I will give you an example. He said, I went to California. And while I was there, I went on a tour. I wanted to see the San Andreas Fault. He went and stood on the San Andreas Fault. And they were telling him, showing him exactly what it was, because there's a green line. On that green line is growth. There's dampness in that whole green line. He said for almost all the way across California. He said, so he placed a foot on either side of the fault. He said, now, guess which one is going to move first? That's where nobody knows. He said, so if it goes one way on the knife's edge, he said, then you're going to be like Greece. Your money's going to be tied up. Your paper's going to be tied up. They'll limit the money that you get, and you may not get any. He said, so you need to have some cash on hand, some silver on hand. And again, he said, land on hand, anything that you can get. He said, if it goes the other way, then you need government bonds on hand. So there's so much here that he's thrown in. He said, have a 50-50 mix, land, gold, cash, paintings on one hand, and then half in paper stocks, treasury notes, and land on the other. I thought I would pass this along. He said, the likelihood of Mick Jagger doing the waltz is about as likely as this is not going to happen. Jody Wolf, Expoz.